It can be. Oh, yeah. Oh, it can be. You started?
You
Oh,
got
it is
three.
6 o'clock, I guess.
Okay. It's Wednesday, April 26, 2023 at 6 p.m. I'll call a public work meeting to order. I'd like to welcome our audience. Is there anybody on Zoom?
It's me and Valerie.
Okay.
Then if you'd like to, agenda's back here, if you could sign in.
You know, I'd like to thank you for coming to this important meeting. I'm serious about it. This very important meeting. Because there is a big project you're going to start in your neighborhood, and we would like to know how much assessment we may have in there. And we're going to tell you this tonight. And also, I'd like you to bear in mind that's a preliminary assessment. This assessment is based on the lowest qualified bidder in our project, which is Integrity Excavating. But when the project is done and doing it, our Director of Public Work, he does another calculation with the real number, because that's what we pay for the project. And then he calculates the assessment. Assessment comes the same or less. There won't be any public hearing. If you go above significantly, which I don't think so, but it will be another public hearing. And we never hold a public hearing in the past. And I can tell you it's not gonna happen. Because we're gonna watch the project like a hawk to make sure everything is goes according to the project estimate. So with that in mind, roll call, please.
Apologize, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Apologize. Professor.
That's all right. No, you're here. You're here.
All right,
Go ahead.
okay, so Zagami,
Here.
Hardinger, Hubbard. Oh, yeah, he's excused. Lopez Herrero
Here.
and Mumper.
Here.
All right. We also announced that this, they can get on Zoom through the computer. There's a link for it. Also, we have for telephone, they can join us with the phone. There is a phone number and also meeting ID in there. But at this point, we don't have anybody. So the public hearing, item number 4. The Weston Avenue Reconstruction Project, Ryan Street to Conitron J. And I open the public hearing. Is the special assessment for drive approach construction, sewer main and lateral, water main and lateral. Now, I think before I go to next, do I have to read all announcement? No,
I don't believe we need to read the actual hearing notice.
okay. I thought we do, but
If you want to, sure.
oh, I don't want to, I think I have to. All right.
Everyone would have been mailed a copy of the notice.
Yeah.
And then it was, yeah, and it was published in the paper if anybody still looks at that.
So we're good. Did you get the notice of public hearing?
I don't think my son did though. They didn't know. I just texted them. So they said they didn't know if there was a meeting.
Would you like to hear it?
Pardon?
Would you like to hear it?
Would have gone to the mailing address for the property.
Yeah, it would have gone to their house on Ryan or on Weston
It's
Avenue.
on West.
Yeah. It would,
What is it?
7403, yeah.
Notice of public hearing on a special assessment for public improvement in the village of Weston, Wisconsin. Please take a notice that the governing body of the village of Weston, Wisconsin declared its intention to exercise its police power in according with 66.0703 Wisconsin statute. levy a special assessment upon property within the following described assessment district for a benefit conferred upon the property by installation of water, main and lateral, sanitary sewer main and lateral, and driveway apron. Assessment district. The property to be assessed lies within the following described assessment district. All the property with access on Weston Avenue between Ryan Street and Connie Road J. Village engineer report showing proposed plan and specification, estimated cost and improvement, and proposed assessment is on the file at municipal court office and may be inspected here, there, during any business day between the hours of 8 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. You are further notified that the governing body of the village of Weston, Wisconsin, will hear all the interested person or their agent or attorney concerning a matter maintained in the mentioned in the preliminary resolution authorization. The assessment and the above described report at 6 p.m. on 26th day of April 2023 at the following location: Western Municipal Center, 4747, Camp Phillips Road, Weston, Wisconsin, 54476. All the objection will be considered at the hearing, and thereafter, the amount of the assessment will be finally determined. Dated to be published 4/13/2023. And as I said, this is preliminary, and the final become after the construction is completed. And usually it's a little bit different, but I can't tell you what it is. Okay.
All right, so the next part is just kind of a project overview and review of the assessment report. I guess village staff, I'm Mike Wodolski, Director of Public Works. Our administrator there's Keith Donner. I'll have a couple other people during the project that you might see out there. Our Deputy Director Dan Ruskowski, our Utility Superintendent Josh Swenson, and then our board up here for Public Works and Utilities was mentioned earlier. So this project, the full project is from X to J, but today we're just talking about the east limits, which is Ryan Street to County Road J. So this project was initially part of the Weston Avenue corridor plan, looking at improving the transportation and utility network along that corridor. So a lot of this is for the TIF district currently runs through here. So the cost of the improvements likely would be prohibitive, historically was prohibitive due to no other funding mechanism. So there were other planned subdivisions in the past that weren't able to come to fruition due to I guess what we call it extraordinary costs to make that work. So the project itself has the planned improvements to extend water and sewer within the project area. This will loop the water main to, I guess, improve water quality and fire flow. It gets rid of dead ends. The roadway will be reconstructed. There will be a multi-use path on the north side of the road. In this section, it will go from Ryan Street to the west leg of Progress Way. Once you hit Progress Way, the wetland impact would have been too much, and the DNR more or less said, we're not going to permit you to do that. So the roadway will be a little wider at that point for bicycle traffic, walking. Have a wider paved shoulder, but won't have a dedicated multi-use path. And then also a lot of the project on the east end here is to help improve water, surface drainage, stormwater drainage, storage of, so increasing the ponding capacity of the roadway so it doesn't flood over the roadway or onto adjacent properties. So again, kind of went over the statement and purpose, but it's to rebuild the deteriorating roadway and improve the drainage way, and then extension of the public water and sewer utilities to close in those gaps. Kind of repeats itself, but the parts being assessed are the new addition of water and sewer, and any reconstruction of roadway or driveway approaches within the public right of way. For the purposes of the report, the assessment is what was in it would be the roadway within the existing road right of way. So if we're buying right of way from anyone, we're not, I didn't calculate that any additional right of way as part of your driveway apron. I didn't necessarily think that was fair if we were buying an extra 30 feet from somebody, then charge them for reconstructing 30 feet if we had to. So if your driveway currently is 15 feet in the right of way, the report is based on that 15 feet in the right of way, not any additional there. So the total project as a whole is estimated about 8.272 million. That's a little over 7 million in construction costs and just under 1.2 million in engineering and contingencies. The assessed portion of the project is at 1.349441. About 679 is the sanitary sewer, 657 and change is the water system, and then a little over 13,000 is the approximate driveway apron costs. So the accessible costs for water and sewer are based on the mains and laterals being installed as new infrastructure. So there are portions of this roadway where there are existing water and sewer mains. Those properties are not included in that cost for assessment. So primarily the portion adjacent to the golf course. Since you already have water and sewer there, that portion isn't in play. So the main costs are based on an 8-inch water main and 8-inch sanitary main. There is 12-inch ductile iron pipe going in, but generally the oversizing cost, there is an oversizing cost of that. So historically we've used the 8-inch as our accessible amount. And then the lateral costs also are based on a 1-inch water and a 4-inch sanitary lateral for each lot. So again, just staying consistent with what we've used historically there. Total, there's 7,964 linear feet of water main. Past projects, we've used a 200 linear foot as kind of the average lot size to calculate a per connection rate. So using that, there are 81 new connections proposed as part of this project. You divide out those costs, we get a sanitary sewer total of 10,416, a water total of 12,485. Have it there. But the total then estimated cost for water and sewer combined is here somewhere. Oh, 22,800. So just under 23,000. And the asphalt driveways are $4.22 per square foot. Gravel driveways came out to $1.38 per square foot. And then as trustee Zagami mentioned, these are the preliminary assessment rates. When the project is completed, these will be recalculated based on the final costs of the project. So then the final assessment is based on the lesser of the two between the preliminary assessment and what the actual costs are. So if the final costs are less, the assessment is based on the final cost of the project. If the final cost ends up being slightly more, the preliminary rates is what would be used as the assessment rate. So for the parcels with existing homes, the connection requirement would be deferred until the existing private system fails, property sells, or a sunset date. We've used 20 years in the past. And then upon connection, a 10-year payback period with deferred interest would be available. And then the proposal is that for undeveloped parcels, connection would be required when the development occurs. And there is no upfront cost then for an undeveloped parcel.
Sorry, Michael. What is your, if you go back there? As you're looking at existing properties there, what's your give or take average that you're thinking this is gonna cost a homeowner or?
So that's where the existing, so the sanitary total, their assessment would be 10,400 for sanitary sewer, 12,045 for water.
That's what you're estimating average per.
So that'd be, so the assessment is a per connection fee, so
Yeah.
that would be the assessment.
$22,000 per house, basically, is what we're estimating, and they have 10 years deferred to.
Yeah, so and they don't have to connect in 2024 here. If they connect in 2034, when their current system fails, that's when, you know, connection would be required. And then at that point, they would get 10 years to pay it back. So using that scenario, if they wait 10 years, they connect in 2034, they'd have then payments through 2044. to pay it back.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I guess the recommendation in the report is that assessments would be levied upon completion of the project once all costs are known. Generally, that's the following spring, so with this being a 2023 year construction project, those final costs would be tallied in 2024. Then first payments due in December of 2024. That'd be when the first one would be due if somebody were to connect right away, or for the driveway portion. The utility assessments, again, would be deferred up to 20 years after the initial billing. So again, using that 2024, it'd be 2044 before, you know, that 20-year window. And then, as we've done with other projects, we look at incentivizing the first 10-year period by waiving interest charges and also using a sliding scale, so of 25%. So for year one, if somebody wanted to connect right away, they get a 25% reduction on their sanitary sewer, which at that $10,000 mark, that's about $2,500. Their assessment would be reduced if they connected right away. And that would reduce by 2.5%. So you get to year 10, where then it would be $0 or zero incentive. Zero off, I guess.
How many residents do we have on that road?
So based on the report, there's actually only 4 parcels that would be considered an improved. There's one house, resident is in attendance here, where I did not have an initial assessment on that, just due to where the house is located. I don't think it'd actually be feasible to serve them from Weston Avenue. Just due to the setback and the grades. I guess that'd be one thing if that house so choose to connect in the future, they would still pay that connection fee. I just don't know if with the setback that they currently have, that would be.
To bring the map up.
Oh, yes.
See where it is.
Yeah, are you talking all the X to J or just the half of the construction right now?
So this hearing is just for Ryan to Jay. Yep. Yeah, so I can bring that one up. Where did my button go? I'm on technology. Here. So right now there's a house tucked in back over here. They're downhill, they're lower than the road.
Oh, so you could get, yeah.
So to get back out to Weston Avenue would be, I guess, tough. However, if this property were to ever sell and this frontage of Weston Avenue were to start getting populated with houses or businesses, that's where the connection fee would start coming into play.
What is that, about a 40-acre lot?
That is a 40-acre parcel, correct?
Can you serve this property without running another 6 or 8-inch pipe on that road? There's a lot of a distance, how deep you are with the sewer in that location.
Correct, yeah, so that's why I didn't include that house as a initial connection. But
You're
again,
gonna need another pipe running in there to serve them.
potentially, yeah. That's where,
Subdivided, I would imagine.
yeah.
Yeah, they can go to South, you're correct, yes.
Correct, yeah, so that's where, so the property is in the assessment district, there's just not a an initial calculated, I guess, expectation that that house would be connecting.
Is this open? Can I ask questions?
No, you have to wait. I'm sorry.
Well, I did start writing it down to wait, but
Yeah, just wait until he finishes.
I'm almost
Presentation.
done.
Then I'll give you all
pertains to
the
what
time.
he's talking about. That's,
Write your notes. I'll give you all the time you need. No problem.
I was here, right? Yeah, so the connection would be required, you know, as the current water wastewater system failed, sale of property by the end of the 20th year. At the time of connection, both water and sewer would be required to be connected. Payment of the assessment would be in 10 equal yearly installments. So again, that's what I was saying. If you waited 20 years to connect, the last payment would be due in 2054. So a little ways out. And then just, I guess, as a form of transparency, we do have other connection fees associated with our water and sewer utility. So this part, we do have a Cedar Creek interceptor that was installed 30-ish years ago. It has a $725 capacity assessment. There's a $500 hookup fee. And then currently our fee schedule is for a $10 lateral inspection, a $35 sewer inspection. So that $1270 would still be due as part of the utility connection. I do have a hard copy here. The assessment report is also online and in the meeting packet. So I'm not going to try to go through the numbers, but this is the detailed numbers of how the calculations came out. And then the preliminary assessments for the properties. And then just a general overview. Over the last 5 years or about 5 years ago, the village did revamp our special assessment ordinance. Where historically 2/3 of the street, 100% curb and gutter, 100% sewer lateral, and in a case like this, generally 100% of the frontage would have been assessed for water and sewer. So this would have been a very expensive project for many properties. However, we had some changes throughout 2019, 2021, where I guess we maybe became a softer or nicer village, where we've eliminated some of those extra costs or water or especially street costs, and then also made the sewer and water a little more affordable for residents or future properties. And then I guess the project is slated to begin in May here, and it has a substantial completion date of October 15th this year. So there's a sign-in sheet in the back if you want to sign that. Otherwise, I know, I guess, who's in the room here too. And there's my information if you have further questions, but
Okay,
that is the end of my spiel.
thanks, Michael. If you have any question, you gotta write it down and give it to the clerk, please, for the record. Then you can come to the podium, introduce yourself, give your name and your address, and then you can discuss your question.
If they didn't fill out a form, can they just come up and speak, or do you prefer they?
We should have done the slip for the record, that's all it is, so.
I guess if you want to,
There is only 2 of them.
yeah, if you want to come up and then just make sure you we have your something filled out by you afterwards, just saying
So I gotta,
your.
go ahead.
So if you want to just come up or talk, I guess you don't have to move up.
there's like 7 of us.
No, just come to the podium, introduce yourself. Still, you gotta introduce yourself, give us the address.
Okay. Dan Wylop, 6304 Weston Ave and what's 8103 Weston Ave. So heavily invested into this project here, as I'm on both sides of the construction. You stated the 81 hookups?
Yep.
Versus 4 houses. I was just looking for clarification on that.
Yeah, so we divide the corridor into essentially segments of 200 linear feet. That's been our past practice here on a lot of these, I guess, rural private system a traditional neighborhood had about 200 feet of frontage for that a half acre lot. So we've been using that 200 feet. So again, we used a 40 acre parcel there. If that got chopped up, every 200 feet with a house, that's, I guess, theoretically how that calculation is made. Looking at that frontage could serve that many houses in the future.
And the reason we're doing that is so you have shut off valves and don't have to interrupt the main line when you do a connection.
Yeah, so we don't put in the laterals initially.
Okay.
So we put in laterals for, I guess I should probably clarify that. So the assessment for the vacant properties is, the only proposed assessment is the mains. There is no lateral assessment proposed on those lots because the lateral would be their connection. But our mains will be located underneath the multi-use path. So we would have to dig up the road in the future, but if we try to guess where all those are gonna be,
Yeah.
we're gonna guess wrong probably 90% of the time.
Well, I was just curious because of those such large acre lots.
Yeah.
To still do 200 foot, I don't know if it's a valve or lateral, whatever you're putting every 200 feet on that main line.
So there is no valve or lateral on the main line. It's just how the assessment is calculated in theory, I guess.
So we definitely, for sure, we're gonna open the road, cut the road to put the lateral in.
There would be, yeah.
Because in the past, our practice was, we run a lateral 1 foot past the right of way.
Yeah.
Then from there, because they don't affect the road anymore, from there, they can run it to their houses.
Correct.
In this case, you're not running it to the main. But that's increased costs. At later time, when we do, we gotta build up the road back again.
Correct.
And I guess that would have been my
I mean, so
point as well.
Yeah, that's what is happening.
there are, so we do have water main and sewer stubs every 500, 600 feet. So those do go across Weston Avenue. So the thought would be at those points, that's where people would have a connection point without having to dig up the road.
500 feet, give or take.
It's about every 500 feet. So again, if you go,
Yeah.
200 feet on one side, 200 feet or so on the other side, they would have a main to connect to. If there's a future development, there is a water main stub across, there is a sewer main stub across that they would be able to connect to.
That's what you do for large
If
projects.
there would be a large subdivision or a larger,
What do you consider large? How many acres?
How many houses, I guess.
I guess I'm not quite following the question.
Well, there's some properties, about 30 acre, 40 acre,
So again, it's all based on the frontage.
right?
So this assessment really is addressing anybody that wants to connect directly to the main and take a service connection. Because it's only gonna address those that are within, say, the 150 feet, the average lot, depth, I guess, in a residential property probably.
Correct.
So it's only a way to kind of portion the cost of individual connections at a later time. Then I think there's also the prospect of a trenchless connection across the street, a bore or a directional drilling or something to avoid digging up the road. So I think by putting that main underneath that path, that would reduce that cost of accessing the main. So there's that possibility, of course, later on. I know a lot of times contractors, plumbers around here don't use that method, but we use it all the time in Illinois. So
And also if somebody builds on, 800 feet of frontage or a quarter of a mile,
You can't.
they get that whole
Yeah.
frontage then once they,
Is that path, I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, is the path paved or is
the
it?
path will be paved.
Yes, it is.
You are running stubs out every 500.
Correct. Yep. So we cross the road every, it's like 400 to 500 feet.
I would think it'd be more likely that those stubs then would be used for extensions, say if there was a subdivision, right?
Correct. Yep.
Let's go back to the public here. Do you have any question?
Yes. Marjorie Knightsky, 8105 Ryan. How does this affect me on Weston? Because my driveway comes off of Ryan.
Yep. Yeah. So if you look at it, you actually have a $0 assessment
Okay,
as part of the
unless
project.
I,
Unless you connect to the water and sewer.
Okay.
Or if you sell your property and somebody chooses to build and connect on Weston Avenue, that would be.
If and when I pass and that property goes to whom I want,
Mhm.
do they have to hook up right away?
No, I guess, again, your house with where it was, I guess I didn't include that as an initial property, right? Yeah, so I mean, you have no initial, you have zeros as your,
And laterals, should I be thinking of putting a lateral in?
I guess if you wanted to, that would be up to you, and then you would be, you would get a lateral charge.
Of the latter is.
It's hard to know what to do.
Yeah, so I guess that's where I'm saying is in the unknown, I guess I would advise not putting anything in, because if you don't know where it's going to be, it's hard. You may very likely end up having additional costs in the future to just remove what was put in and relocate it. I know we run into that fairly often, actually. A couple years ago, when a couple houses went in on Von Kennel, south of East Jelnik, we removed 3 laterals and they connected 3 new laterals, because the houses that got put in weren't in a spot that the laterals could serve them. You know, even like Aldi's where that went in, there's, I think, 3 laterals that got abandoned because it was made for a single family home, but a grocery store went in. Willow Street, those apartments went in. There were stubs in there for, you know, duplexes, apartments went in, so we ended up removing, you know, paying to have those stubs removed, just so the new connections could be made for the apartment building. So I think, you know, we can try to guess what these would be, but my time here, we've guessed wrong quite a bit. So I think it's better to just not try to guess.
Is this a road in there, actual road, 66 feet right away,
The right of way will be a little bigger.
right now?
Right now, it is, I think it's 80 feet.
80 feet, yeah, that's preferred, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
The
If you request the
sewer-
service, if you
Pardon?
request the service, they have to provide it to you.
If my system fails, do I have to hook up? Or
So-
can
so-
I do
so if
like a
you-
holding tank or something?
So if your system failed, you'd contact Marathon County. Conservation planning zoning. They would probably contact us and say, is water and sewer available? I guess that's where in this situation, we've had previous projects or residents that have come, I guess, before the board. We do have a provision that if there's an economic test to it. So you look and see if connecting to the public system is economically feasible. And I guess the board is the ones that determine, or I guess, make that final ruling if we would require that connection or not. I don't, again, past practice, generally, if it is truly, you know, it's just, I'm just gonna throw numbers up. If it's $10 to replace what you have versus $100 to connect, there hasn't been a forced connection made. And generally it's been because a house or property is so far back that it just isn't economically feasible.
It must be very costly for me.
Correct, and that's generally the what the board evaluates as far as should that person be forced to connect to the public system, or do we allow them to continue with a private system?
So Michael, if it is a road and they request the service, you have to run that main.
If they were to request service, then yes, we would, they would be allowed to connect, correct,
That they pay from their house to the right of way,
correct.
and if they have to put the septic system, I don't know who's gonna pay running it to that, because you got 2% or minimum slope you're running it.
Yeah.
You're gonna run out the slope before you get to their house.
Well, you would have a pressure sewer system for something like that.
Right.
They'd have a grinder pump and
Yeah.
pump it up to
Okay.
sewer, yep.
Is there sewer and water down on Random now?
No,
You know, we thought we're gonna move before we have to hook up.
Sure. Yep, no, that area is still on private systems as well.
That still needs a lift station? Or,
It would need something, yeah, down there.
yeah,
Okay, is there any other question?
Dan Wylup again.
You can't ask any more questions.
Come to the podium.
Is this the meeting that we're going to talk about construction timetable, or is there going to be another meeting where I obviously saw a start in May and in October? Get that, but I obviously have some logistics I have to understand and work out for the golf course.
Yeah, I don't have a set schedule yet from the contractor. They're still working on that, so
And then that's
integrity grading is the,
yeah, they're out of Wausau here.
yeah, they're right over here. Yep.
If I give you an example, my neighborhood went through construction here 2 years ago. Michael gets an email list of every resident that's impacted during the construction period, and he provides an email update every week about where they're currently working, what impacts are coming up. These are the houses that aren't gonna be able to travel in a certain area. We were getting that every single week to keep us updated about what was going on, so that was very helpful for me and my neighbors to know. Sure, we have to adjust some things, so.
Well, I want to come up with a plan to communicate to our customers.
Yep.
And we had talked about potentially splitting that portion into two so that there's always a paved access point to our property. If they split it down Zinser to J and Zinser to Ryan. And so I was kind of curious, is that still a possibility? Because then obviously half the year or half the construction, or however it works, we can say, hey, customers, please be going up to J and down, or please be going to Camp Phillips and up, or however, over, whatever you want to call it. So that's one of my questions. We've consulted with someone who has said that we're not supposed to go without. Oh, this isn't, okay, scratch that. DOT project.
Yeah, so this is not a DOT project, but I guess, I Courtney, right?
Yeah.
You know, so that's definitely something we'll, you know, there is trucking, there is other businesses there. So yeah, I mean, to help reduce dust and everything else, well,
Because I know PGA is also questioning how
Yeah.
accessible their homestead is.
correct, yeah.
So I guess I'm just kind of really getting antsy for how are we gonna attack this for our customers and communicate it and be impactful and not lose too much business.
There's gonna be a construction meeting every week. And you can go there and talk to them and answer a question. Michael gonna be there, plus the inspector on the project gonna be there, and the contractor. So you can stay with them and you know exactly what's going on, plus the letter you're gonna get. I think you're pretty much with it. The other thing is, he's supposed to provide access to everybody during the construction. Because there's a construction, that doesn't mean the road gets shut down. Nobody can go to the houses, or he's supposed to provide the place for your mailboxes. So
For
Yeah,
me,
he's more worried about his business.
yeah, for me,
yeah, I know what you're
I
talking about.
understand that there's going
I
to
know
be
what he's talking
access, but I will lose customers if the access is poor.
Yep.
Because people will avoid crushed rock roads. People will avoid congestion. So my concern is that we have a nice accessible way, and sometime, I understand we can redirect them back through what the
Sure.
Shorey up to Zinser, but the more accessible it is, not rerouting people on unfamiliar roads, the better chance of success I have at getting customers to come to my business. So that's why I'm trying to understand so that we can communicate. I'm already expecting a loss this year because it will impact us.
I can tell you this much. There is going to be a time, it's not going to be a paved road available, because he's going to take it out. He has to dig it out. You got to fix the base and sub base, then put the grading and then put the blacktop in there. So those time is expected.
Totally understand that. That an intersection has to happen at some point, and that intersection will be
Correct.
tough. But if, if people are going, say, 100 feet on crushed rock through that intersection, and it's accessible via blacktop one way or the other, it's gonna be much more successful for us. And I'm just trying to understand what the big picture is. The week by week, that's too down in the mud for me. The big picture is we plan to do this and this, or we're gonna rip it down from this way to this way and you're driving on crushed rock for 6 weeks. Okay.
Right,
So
that's
that's what I
what he's
wanna
gonna do. That's what he's gonna do, but at the end of the day, he has to have access for everybody to
So
their
so the
houses and
pro,
business.
so who should, the
go
project, the project is set to be phased. I believe it's just east of Zinzer Street. I talked too loud and too close to that apparently. So the project is, the contract documents do require it to be phased. So I believe it's a couple 100 feet just east of Zinzer, so that it will go from Ryan Street to there first. And the second half will be from that point to J. So
So the first
the
wave,
first wave will be from Ryan Street to Zinzer,
okay, so then, and then past Zinzer,
through the Zinzer intersection, yeah.
okay. But then coming down from J, they could just cross that crushed rock
Correct.
most likely for the 100, 200 feet.
Yeah, the one, I guess, good thing, if you want to put it that way, from Zinzer to Progress Way, there is no new water sewer utility work there. It is strictly road rebuilding, and, re-ditching. So the work there, won't take as long as when you have to go and put in sanitary sewer and then follow it up with a water main and then come back and do your drainage and then your road. So like in a traditional neighborhood, it's like 4 passes the crew makes, right? They put in the sanitary sewer, they put in the water main, they put in the storm sewer, and then they finally get to the road. In your case, it's new road, put new road down. So it should be a more condensed time frame than what you'll see in other spots.
At intersection.
Yeah, from Zinzer to Progress Way, or even J for the most part, yeah.
So,
I don't have the exact dates. As soon as I get them.
don't care. That, now this is very helpful.
Yeah.
Dates will come, I get that, but understanding what their plan is really all I wanna get to. So then, just so I'm clear, Ryan to just past Zinzer, first phase, they will pave that before they start past Zinzer to J.
That is how the
Okay.
contract is written.
Okay, excellent.
Okay. Any question?
I guess I should clarify it. They'll at least have it graded if they start moving the pave, there might be like a couple days, but it's not gonna be like that for a month.
Yes.
Okay.
I can deal with a couple.
Just try to, you gotta be prepared yourself. There are days you gotta live with it. And you gotta work with them, stay with them, go to those construction meetings. Although it's a week, but still, you know more, you know what's going on, you can talk about it.
I gotta go to my day job too, though, so.
No, well, it take 1 hour.
I can update you if you.
Thank you.
All right. Again, I asked 3 times. Is there anybody have question? Is there any other question? Is there any other question? If not, I'll close the hearing. This hearing is closed. Item C. Discussion on the matter discussed at the public hearing. Gentlemen, is your floor now?
Other than, obviously, I anticipate that we'll continue with the same thing we've been doing for the last several projects, which is communicating with the people. Always encouraging people to speak with the people they see out there. When I had any issues in my neighborhood, if I saw a guy in a yellow shirt walking by, I flagged him down and said, I need to talk to the foreman or whatever. Within minutes, somebody was over talking to me. So I've personally, even though it's a burden, I had a good experience with it. So I don't anticipate everything goes the way it usually does.
Yeah, I'd just like to say that we understand. And I'm also a business owner. We have other business owners fully understand. We want to try and minimize that impact on your business. We'll do anything we can. These meetings are once a month, not once a week, but if you're having any kind of an issue, please, by all means, let us know. That's something we want to be aware of also. We want to be as responsive as we can to the business owners and the other property owners.
Anything else? Jasper,
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair.
you're good?
Right.
Okay. He has to provide the road for a mailman or mailwoman, provide for garbage truck to come through. And provide the business PGA in there, they're gonna have they need the road to get out of the business and do their business. Same thing for yours. So he can't close the road, is not gonna be happy.
I'm not worried about a closed road.
So
I'm worried about
access, yeah,
No, there will be access. I know there will be access. I'm worried about poor access. Because customers will choose not to drive their brand new truck or brand new car down a crushed rock road. And come to our business. PGA is going to drive their trucks down a crushed rock road to their business. That's not a problem. They're used to that environment. So that's my concern.
all right, thank you. Any other discussion? None, all right, thank you. We move to next item, future item. Next meeting date is Monday, May 8th, 2023 at 4 p.m. That's a regular meeting. You want from administrator or Mr. Donner?
Don't we need to take action on the accepting the assessment report and the conditions of the we stated the interest rate, we stated the number of installments.
So that'll be at
It's
the,
0 or whatever.
that'll be at the May 8th meeting. We used to do it at the same meeting as the hearing, but then when there's
Okay,
changes requested or
right, okay.
things to look at, we.
Been a while since I did one of these, I guess, so.
Well, there isn't anything on the agenda, even if we have to do it, we can't do it
Yeah.
unless we vote.
So I've just removed it from the agenda
Okay,
because
yeah, that's better, you're right, okay.
as we were going through all those changes, it seemed like every time we went to one of these, there was a
I remember.
change made.
Anything else, Mr. Donner?
Oh,
All right.
you know,
No, no. Remark from Michael?
No, I guess we'll be, like I said, just kind of keeping the status quo on this one as far as what we've been doing the last few years. I think we got a system that works. Residents seem to be, okay with it. And yeah, I guess if you guys have any issues, give me a call, email, and I guess construction is destruction to a certain extent, but we'll do what we can to make it as painless for you.
I think they said the construction looks sick and they started. And you get better as you go through the construction. Every day make a difference. All right. Remark from the trustees or board member?
The only question I have, how long does it usually take for our meetings to get posted on YouTube, on the YouTube channel?
I think Nate usually does it the next day.
So at some point, this meeting will be available on the village's YouTube channel. So if anybody that might have not been here that would have wanted to be here or whatever, then they could watch what just transpired on that video as well.
And I know that once he downloads the video, I think he puts it on the website under the agenda center right away too.
I also upload these to our the website for the project page itself. So if you go to westonwi.gov/Weston Avenue, the assessment report is on there. The presentation from tonight will be on there as well as the link to the video. So try it. And then as construction starts, we'll have the weekly construction update posted on the website as well, as far as the condition of where things are going.
All right. Anything else? All right. No. All right, I don't have any announcement. That's item 9. I'd like to thank you for coming to the meeting. I'm surprised for the rest of residents because to me, that's pretty important. And the issue you have, I think those are all important and your questions, same way. Thank you very much. I accept the motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, I have it. This meeting adjourned.